Hi, I'm David.
And I'm Gail.
And we're all dressed up in our fanciest duds because we're off to the black and white ball on the Queen Mary 2.
Yes, this is part of our journey on an ocean liner from Southampton, UK to New York, New York.
It's a 7-day journey, and we are just in the first day of it, really. It's our first, not only our first transatlantic cruise, but it's our first cruise ever. So it's quite exciting for us, and we're really enjoying it so far. But we really want to bring you along with us to show you what it's like.
So while we're at the ball, we're going to leave you with some images. And David, I have to say, you're looking pretty dapper.
And you're looking pretty spiffy yourself, Gail. Passengers find out about 2 weeks before embarkation on the journey exactly which terminal in Southampton they're to go to and when they are to arrive at the terminal itself. Now, we had a 2:30 arrival time in the afternoon. We actually walked from our hotel in downtown Southampton to the Mayflower Cruise Terminal. Once you're there at the terminal, the bags are dropped off before you actually enter the building itself. So it's important that you actually pre-print the tags that are emailed to you earlier on. And that's important because there didn't seem to be any place where you could actually print them in the terminal itself.
Inside the terminal, we were processed much like at an airport, which was good because we had lots of help along the way. We are newbies, we didn't quite know what to expect, and it was overwhelming. The keys to our stateroom. We found them tucked right outside in the hall, and wow, look at that. Those are very important, those cards. David will tell you more about them. And now, behold, stateroom 4074, our home for the next 7 days. Oh, there was a lot to take in. Oh, a nice bottle of sparkling wine. But, there was a lot to check out. It was mid-November, so we knew we weren't going to have light for very long. We did look around the ship as a first step. And we hadn't even left by the time it was dark. We would be making our way down the River Test, East Cowes, and into the English Channel soon enough. Oh, this is the top, very top of the ship. Pretty dramatic in the dark. So let's see some of what we saw initially. It was pretty posh, kind of in a royal sort of way. Oh, now this is the grand lobby, and it's lined with exclusive shops. My favorite space was the library. You could actually check out books, and it was a lovely place to read.
Well, this is one of the definite perks of being on the Queen Mary 2, and that's having a breakfast delivered to your stateroom. Mm-hmm. And we're just sitting down right now. We both we filled out a form last night, what we wanted to have, and left it out in the front.
As long as it was there by 1 a.m.
1 a.m.
this morning, they would pick it up.
And then you get your choice of delivery times. It was just delivered by our, a porter. To our room, and it's quite a spread, actually. It's quite nice. Anyways, what do you want to describe what you're having, Gail?
Sure. I have what they call scrambled eggs and smoked salmon. So the scrambled eggs are on a half English muffin, it looks, as a side, and there are any number of sides. David has some of the sides I didn't choose, but I have a grilled tomato. I also asked for mixed fruit, so they're rather large pieces of fruit, but I've got a large piece of pineapple and orange and watermelon and honeydew and what's the other one? The other melon.
Yeah, cantaloupe.
Cantaloupe.
Yeah,
I'm not a melon person. I have a Danish pastry, which I asked for, and we're both having coffee.
That's
David,
right.
what
Yeah.
are you having?
I'm having more or less a traditional English breakfast. I'm having just a couple of sunny side up eggs, some sautéed mushrooms, some black pudding, well, actually, Gail ordered streaky bacon, they call it. So I'm having her streaky bacon, and of course I'm having my orange juice as well.
That was done on behalf of David.
For sure. Anyways, so we're going to sit back and enjoy our breakfast because we've got a heavy schedule of the literary festival that's going on today, and yeah, we got to be out of here in about
Three-quarters of an hour,
Yeah,
yes.
for
So
sure.
we'll let you know how all that goes too.
There are 2 entertainment venues on the ship. This is the Royal Theatre. There's also one called the Illuminations. Both of these were dedicated to a festival that, just by chance for us, was showing while we were on the passage. It's called the Literature Festival at Sea. It's an annual event that's run by the Times and Sunday Times of the UK. The speakers, and there were over 24 of them, were news anchors, war correspondents, political pundits, novelists, mostly crime novelists. So it was very exciting. They spoke individually and also on panels. Here we have the Illuminations, the second venue, the second space, which is sometimes a planetarium.
Welcome to our stateroom in the Queen Mary 2. This is called a Britannia level suite, or really it's a stateroom. That's the term that's used on the ship. So Britannia level is not the lowest level on board, but there are 2 levels above us. And I mean in terms of height in the ship, and in terms of amenities, and in terms of cost. But this is a very comfortable cabin, just as a subset of the kind of class or type of room we have, is that it has an exterior space, but it's a sheltered space. The people above us have a full kind of view of the ocean. Quite frankly, I'm not sure if I'd want a full view of the ocean. It can be quite tumultuous to look at. And here we have fresh air, and if you stand at the bar, and I'll be showing you that, you can actually see the ocean, and you can see the horizon, which on the ocean is round. I mean, there's nothing that you see in miles and miles. Okay, so let me just get up. As you can see, we've got a nice little Chesterfield. We have a king-size bed. Very comfortable. I can attest to its comfort. We have a little mini fridge. Now it is stocked with bar items, so it's a mini bar situation if one would choose to purchase anything. You have a kettle so you can make coffee, and they've given us all of the accoutrements for making an instant cup of coffee. You see that we've got some glasses here, champagne flutes for example. We had complimentary champagne. There was a bottle waiting for us when we came here. So that was kind of a very nice touch. So we have 2 British style plugs. Remember, Cunard lines are English. There's a very much an English focus to culturally, and obviously here we've got that. We've got the 2 American plugs and another 2 American plugs here. So, I mean, there are several outlets, as you can see, but if you want to plug in anything, it's all in this corner. If, for example, you wanted something plugged by your bed, you can't do that. Now, while I'm in this corner, let me take you outside to our sheltered boat deck. Oh, this is nice and bracing. We're in mid-November and it's almost 3:30. It's overcast, but it's not nighttime yet. And it's fresh and invigorating. Yes. And if I were to sit down on one of our deck chairs, I can still see the sky, I just can't see the ocean from this point. Very, very pleasant. It gives you the opportunity for some fresh air. Now the opposite end of our stateroom. Here we have our closet space. And it really is generous and quite elegant. It keeps everything off the floor. So we hung up our kind of creasable items and items that we plan to be wearing during the trip. And there's still room for travel pods and our actual luggage. I'll show you still another one for another luggage piece. So here we have the life preservers in the event that there's any need, and we're really very generously educated on this in the course of the travels. A safe for our many valuables, and shelving for sweaters and things. We haven't used the drawers, but we could use the drawers if we wanted. And then another cupboard space, which it now accommodates our big suitcase. And just behind me, let me just introduce you to our washroom. So it's pretty self-explanatory, I guess. You've got a toilet, you've got a trash can, the sink, and the shower. I should mention that while we are away from our cabin, we have staff that comes in and is continually cleaning. So we have what I call the imperial point on our toilet paper. And you see that very often when you start in a hotel. But every time I come into the room afresh, there's a new imperial point. Similarly for the tissue paper. It's just part of the service of Cunard. Like any happy bedroom, there is a large TV. This television is an internal kind of a system. So you have, for example, several channels, but they are pre-packaged. We do get BBC News World, and there's a movie channel, or more really than one movie channel, and certain television shows as well.
Ah, the life of a passenger. It's very comfortable on this bed, as I said. Adding to the comfort is actually the location of our cabin. And we did this consciously because I don't necessarily travel well in terms of travel sickness. Well, I can tell you, after over 24 hours on the ship, it's been really smooth sailing. You can feel the pitch a bit, but not all that much. Certainly not in this room, because we're on the 4th level, which is kind of a middle level, but more importantly, we're around the center of the ship, where you're going to less likely feel the movement. I can say that when we go to public places like the planetarium area, the cinema area, and just walking around the ship, the stern and the bow do feel a real pitch. We've been very lucky. I mean, partly it was that we were going out of Southampton, where obviously you're close to land, and it wasn't too rocky yesterday. We might feel something more in upcoming days, but so far so good. I hope you've enjoyed this tour. I'm certainly enjoying this tour myself.
So it's time for a quick spin around the promenade deck, which is on deck 7. And you can walk entirely around the ship at this point. And it's quite pleasant. It's a good exercise, especially considering your other main activity on the ship is eating. So there's lots of splendid views, and sometimes the sun is out, such as here, and other times it can be quite cold and blustery, and you have to dress for the occasion. Again, this is in November that we took the cruise. Now, along the way, you come across a number of the features that the ship offers. It does have a fairly complete fitness center. It didn't appear to be too well used. Certainly we didn't use it at all. There's also a complete spa. Again, we didn't really partake in that at all. As well, there's swimming pools. There's 2 swimming pools in total. We'll get to those as we walk around the ship. This is a particularly nice day, and there we have our pool. So there you can see there's a hot tub in the back there, and a fairly large pool as well. And as well, why not take a hot tub? Now, I must admit that the water was not well regulated. It was a little bit on the cool side. On the other end of the ship, there's another indoor pool as well, and there's some more hot tubs there. It's all enclosed.
The cost of all meals is included in your passage, and depending on the level of your ticket, you're allocated to a particular dining room. And this one was the Britannia restaurant, which was ours. So at 8 o'clock every night, we had a standing table with the same people there. They were lovely people, but we all agreed that this was maybe not our favorite restaurant.
Yes, that's true. I think we enjoyed the food. There were always 3 choices for your different courses that you had. So that was quite nice, and certainly it was nice talking with other people from Britain mostly, some Americans as well. But there are just so many other restaurant choices on the ship that you really want to investigate them all, and they all offer different kinds of food. For example, there's the Corinthia Lounge, which is a lovely sort of lounge-like atmosphere, very pleasant indeed. Now, we should mention as well that the drinks that you can order along the way, if you don't have a drink package, are fairly reasonably priced. These are all in US dollars, so they're not certainly bargains by any means, but they are not a bad price. Now, the other feature about the Corinthia Lounge is it did have entertainment from time to time, and we really enjoyed that. So it's just a very pleasant place to basically have your dinners, your lunches, or your breakfast. And Gail's going to talk about where all that food came from.
Well, it came from the adjacent space, which is the King's Court Buffet. And it's not just a question of volume that you could choose, because I would say more it was the quality of every item, and that, if you wanted to eat sushi one day, you could just, dedicate yourself to sushi, or Mediterranean to Greek or Italian, or have a carvery. You could mix and match. It was whatever your fancy was, but you were always assured of quality.
So there were also restaurant options that you could pay additional money for. One of those particularly was perhaps the highlight of the trip really was the lunch and learn menu. Now this cost an addition of $80 US per person. However, we rated it quite high. It was really worth the money. We had 4 really excellent prepared food courses, and the wines that accompanied them were quite exceptional. It covered the entire Burgundy region of France, stretching right from the Côte de Nuit wines right down to the Beaujolais wines. These were superb wines that would be extremely expensive if you were to buy the bottles yourself in Canada in particular. So it was quite an adventure. Wines that probably you wouldn't normally be able to try, we were able to try here. So we really enjoyed this immensely. Now along the way there was some sommeliers who would talk about the wines, gave you a little bit of an insight about the wines and the qualities of the wines. That was always quite enjoyable. And the food was really well paired with all the wines as well. We enjoyed it immensely. There were 8 wines in total that we tried, so it was a pretty good tasting, I would say. This is all at lunchtime, so it gave you half a day to recover from this before you had to sit down for your dinner at the end of the day.
Happily, on another day, but at the same location as our special lunch, the Veranda restaurant, we had another add-on. We paid $40 each American as a premium to eat at the Veranda Steak restaurant. And here we are sharing a Chateaubriand for 2 with just an extraordinary selection of sides. And this is dessert, or rhumbaba, the official family dessert of the Furman Perrys. And here we are partaking in the afternoon tea, offered free of charge every afternoon. You can go any number of times. We just did it once. Sandwiches, desserts, and entertainment.
Another popular venue, it was actually hard to get into, was the Golden Lion Pub. And here you get standard pub fare, and of course they had some good selection of beers, which you did have to pay extra for. The food, of course, is included.
And here we are in the chart room, which is yet another lounge with entertainment.
Just a pleasant place to hang out after a big dinner.
And you can have your dinner in your stateroom. And here we have room service. We were allowed to bring in 2 bottles of our own wine, and since we had it there, no corkage.
Okay, I'm going to just talk about a couple of the practical things you know about taking the Queen Mary 2. First of all, that about a few weeks before your embarkation on the ship, you're going to be asked to give your credit card credentials. Anything that we buy on board is going to be charged against that. So that's going to include, for example, if we go to a lounge and we have a drink, it's going to be charged against the card. And what happens is that the way it works is that when you board, you're going to be get this little card that does everything. You're going to be carrying that wherever you go. You're not going to need to carry a wallet at all. You just need to carry this card. This will open the door to your stateroom. You'll also give it to the person who serves you your drinks, and they'll scan it and charge for that drink against the card. If you happen to go to a restaurant, one of their fancy restaurants, for example, the Veranda or the Coriando or the Piazza restaurant, where you're paying for extra for your meal, then that will be charged against your card as well. So everything goes against the card, and at the end of your trip, you'll get a final bill, and you'll get a chance to take a look at it, but essentially everything will be charged against this card, including service charges and any tips as well. So it all goes here, and at the very end of your trip, you'll get a statement, and it will all go against your credit card. Every day you're going to be getting a lot of paperwork, and it's just left outside your front door. There's a little hook above the name of the stateroom, and what you're going to get every day, in particular, is the daily program. And this is going to tell you exactly what's happening hour by hour, everything you can do, and it's all organized in morning, afternoon, and dinner. So I can take a look at, for example, at 9:30 a.m. There's a beginner's bridge lesson, and it tells you where it is and what level it's on, and I could go to that then and I guess learn to play bridge if I wanted to. Not so much interest in myself, but that's the importance of this particular thing. This is something you will also want to carry around with you wherever you go, just so you're aware of what's happening and what to do next, type of thing. When you get on board, you do not have Wi-Fi access unless you pay for it. However, there is an internal Wi-Fi access, and that's so you can connect to a website called My Voyage, which is your particular website. This is actually for Mr. David Furman, and it's my booking reference and my state number. And what it does is it allows me to basically book any onboard dining in some of their fancier restaurants. I can take a look at my onboard account just to see how much I'm spending. It's got my voyage calendar, which essentially tells me it's the calendar of everything that I've pre-booked ahead of time. There's other things. It talks about the entertainment as well. You can also purchase internet packages directly from this app, and it also has a copy of your daily program right here. So if you don't want to carry around the paper version, although it's nice because I can add little notes to it and stars beside the things that I want to attend, but you do have an electronic version here as well. So these are just a few of the things that you should be aware of that are going to make your trip as pleasant as possible.
Welcome to the last morning of our 7-day crossing of the Atlantic Ocean. This is a particularly blustery day. I would say that the ocean is roiling the most that it has during this crossing, although it's being considered a smooth sailing. I can feel the spray on my hand as I pull it back. Woo, you can see that. And you know what? It's true. The ocean is salty.
I have always wanted to sail into New York City on an ocean liner. That was an impetus for me to do this trip, and I think David was also like-minded. We got up early, like many people did, at around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning to enter into the New York City area. And there you have it, Lower Manhattan. Except we're going to disembark in Brooklyn rather than Manhattan.
So here we are in Brooklyn. We opted to carry our bags off ourselves, which means we were able to take an express pass and exit the ship fairly quickly. The route through customs was very fast. Once we got off, we hopped on a ferry, which was kind of pleasant. It took us from the berth across to Wall Street on Manhattan, where we from there again walked to our hotel, which was located in Chinatown. It's quite a really pleasant way to end our 7-day journey on the Queen Mary 2.
David and I hope that you enjoyed taking the transatlantic passage with us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider doing so. We both look forward to seeing you again on our next adventure, whether that be by foot, rail, or on the high seas.